Hello and welcome to the Rakuten UK podcast. My name's Callum, I'm with the MSA team, and today I'm joined by Paul Albury, who is also from the MSA team. Paul, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Paul, I'm on the MSA team. I predominantly, well, we do the same thing as you, don't I? We're in the same role.
Yeah,
but,
pretty much.
I've got some experience with the legal process, beyond the normal scope, so it's sort of really my area of expertise.
Yeah, cool. So the topic of today's one, as you can probably see by the title of this, is going to be about the RPSS process, which if you remember in the last podcast, I did say that we were going to go through that in a bit more detail today. So it's really just about what you're going to need to provide and the differences of what you're going to need to provide if you're a business or if you're a sole trader. So I've got Paul with me today, who's sort of had a bit more background in that and sort of knows a bit more what he's talking about than I do. Not that I don't know what I'm talking about, but still. So yeah, Paul, if you could sort of give a brief overview of the RPSS process, sort of just in general terms.
Yeah, sure. So the RPSS process is sort of our basic legal process to comply with new rules coming out in Europe as to how the documents you need to submit in order to trade online. It's preventative, so it's gone a bit further to stop things like money laundering, terrorism finance, and also fraud. One of the big things with e-commerce platforms is the potential of having fraudulent merchants, and this is in place to stop that from happening, so everyone's in a fair trading environment. Which is
something I'm very happy about, having dealt with that back in the play.com days.
Yeah, of course, seeing hundreds of them or whatever each day, so it's good. It helps stop that from happening.
Cool. Okay. So that's really sort of why that's what it is and why we need it, really. So there's two sort of different ways that you can submit it. Really depending on whether or not you're a sole trader or you are a registered business. What are the differences between the two? What are they going to need to provide as one and the other?
So it's sort of changed, actually. There's 3 ways now.
Oh, it's 3 ways. Oh, okay.
But basically, the easiest is sole trader because you don't have a registered company number, so you don't have to provide documents from Companies House. So in that scenario, it is quite literally a valid ID for the shareholders of the company, and that's anyone that earns over 25% in stock for the company. Has to be for everybody. Can't just do a few. Has to be for all of them. And the other thing is just a legitimate bank statement. Has to have the company name on it, and it has to be within the last 3 months. And it's a good idea to make sure it's got your bank logo on it as well, so our guys can easily check it against their records.
Okay. Yeah.
So nice and easy for that if you're a sole trader. The next one on the list is a partnership, where it's only an extra addition here. It's just the partnership deeds, which basically state that you, as a business owner, have gone into business with someone else, and the agreement is there. Obviously, then we can tie up who owns what business and how they're connected. It's just helpful for us for our information. And, the most complicated, but also it's because it has the most, different stances, is for registered company. So similar to the other two, you do need a valid ID for every shareholder, and you do need a legitimate bank statement within the last 3 months. The other things that you need are the Articles of Association and Certificate of Incorporation. Now, these documents are very similar, but one is a very broad version of how the company's laid out. So name of the company, company number, when it was registered. And the other one gives more intimate details about the shareholder structure. So who owns what percentage, where.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And finally is your annual returns form. It's got several different names, but I think that's what Companies House calls it in the UK, which is basically a returns form. It's, the last one you submitted last year, or your first one when you first registered the business, which is, it's what you use for tax purposes. Now, these are all really easy to get if you haven't got them. Most companies should, but if you haven't got, them to hand, you can go to the Companies House website, easily find using a search your registration number, and you can pull all those documents through into a nice, easy grouping for £1, so it's not too expensive as well.
Oh, right. So that's See, I didn't know that. See, I'm learning something today. Wow, look at that. So yeah, that's really the three sort of ways that you can do it, depending on what sort of company you are. Obviously, when these documents are coming through, we do need to see clear documents. So no no fuzziness. Everything has to be like very, very visible.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fair to say. Now, the way that to submit these, you'll receive when you first come to sign up with Rakuten. Some of you listening to this probably will have seen this already, and you may have even completed it. You will get an email from our compliance team, which will contain a link in there to a web form in which you can go through. There's a few steps, about 5 steps on that.
Yeah,
I think, and you can go through and submit the various documents. Now, the thing to remember here is you need to make sure you're submitting the correct piece of documentation to the correct area, because you can't change it once you've already uploaded it. If you do make an error, as humans do, that's not a problem. You will get a resubmission email once the compliance team have received your completed web form. So if you've messed something up, don't worry about it. Just finish off the form as normal. You will then get a resubmission email saying what you need to resubmit, and then you'll get another link to a resubmission web form, and you can just change the documentation over, and that will allow it to go through. Once it's all submitted, it will then go through to the compliance team. They'll verify it. As I say, if there is any problems, they will get back to you, but they'll verify it for you, and then you'll go into a status is what we call RPSS approved, and that's one of the steps done for you going live on Rakuten. This is a really important one. You need to get this done before you go live. So we recommend as soon as you get that web form,
get it in.
You get it in.
Yeah.
You complete it. So the key points really are when filling that out is to make sure you have clear images and documents, put the documents in the right places, and you'll be fine. You'll be golden.
Yeah, and I think that nobody likes the admin stuff. It's the least interesting thing out of everything you do. So I'd suggest that you sort of get it out of the way first, get that bit done, and then you can crack on with the fun stuff. Uploading your products, designing your own store, all the stuff that everyone actually wants to do, and eventually selling, which is the whole purpose.
Yeah.
But it is so important. We can't legally allow anyone to trade without being approved. The other thing to note is there are 2 steps in the process, not from your end, but from our compliance team end. So basically, the compliance team will, when they check for compliance, all they're doing is making sure you have a company registration number and all the documents are uploaded. They don't check any of it. And then it goes through to a separate team who then scour the document for all the data, make sure it matches up to what your bank says and what Companies House says. So the other important thing to note is it might be worth, before you even submit the documents, checking to make sure that your bank's data matches what you're putting into the system, because if it doesn't, it's going to get thrown back, and then we're going to have to resubmit it anyway.
There you go then. So yeah, there's a couple of tips for when you're doing the RPSS process. I mean, this is probably something that should have already been explained to you anyway, but this is just to sort of reiterate the fact, I guess. Now, as I said in the previous podcast, what these podcasts are for is to support our Academy site, which you can find at academy.rakuten.uk.com, and you will find a slideshow on this very process on there, created, I believe, by yourself.
By me.
Yeah,
yes.
There you go. So you've got the information there. You've got this to accompany it. You'll be able to find obviously this on our YouTube channel, and we're going to try and get these uploaded to our Academy as well. I mean that's about it for this one. So again, another nice short one, just to reaffirm what you need to do for that RPSS process. So like I said before, we'd love to hear from you about what you're hearing here about our Academy, about Rakuten in general. Leave a comment down in the comments section, and to keep up to date with all the podcasts and everything coming out on our YouTube channel, just hit subscribe, and you'll get all the information up to date whenever you need it. Once again, I've been Callum. Thank you very much for joining us today. We'll be back next week with another podcast. What that one's going to be about, well, I'm going to leave that to be a little surprise for you. So, as I say, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you, Paul, as well.
No problem at all.
So, take care, everyone, and we will see you very soon. Thank you.